Hello, thank you for tuning in to the Energy Healing Network. We're pleasure to have Maria Saraphina joining us today. How are you doing today, Maria?
I am so good, Tim. Thank you so much for having me. I am so looking forward to this conversation, which has already started, right?
I mean, I could not wait. I had to move things around to get this conversation because it was just something that I just felt the energy and it's just something that, and once we got started talking, you know, it was evident. It just resonates. Um,
Yeah.
Let our audience know where you're joining us from this morning. Well, morning
Yes.
here.
Yes. So I am joining you from Denmark, from a tiny town outside of, not too far outside of Copenhagen, about an hour south of Copenhagen. So Denmark is in the north of Scandinavia, up on top of Germany, and that's where I'm coming to you from. Well, everything is energy, so wherever you may be, that's where I am, right?
Right, exactly, exactly. No, nothing actually separates us. That's just an illusion. But as far as geographically, just for the purpose of practicality,
Yeah,
we have to kind
yeah.
of go along with it to keep our things on schedule.
Yes, yes, we're still human after all, right? There's a reason for that. Yes, but I was born and raised in Copenhagen, and now I live, which is a city, and now I live outside of the city, close to nature, close to a lake where I can just go outside and see trees and birds and deer and all of that, and just be in nature. I can't imagine ever really living in a big city again. I have to be able to touch soil with my bare feet as often as possible.
Oh
Yeah.
man, being able to ground whenever you want to.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm looking for places. We kind of live in the city a little bit, so
Yeah.
we kind of have to get out and go somewhere and really
Yeah.
kind of get
Yeah.
involved with that a little bit.
Yeah. I used to do that as well. I mean, in Denmark, we're pretty fortunate that nature is close by. We're not as well. That's not true. In the U.S., I know that you have lots of nature as well, but the cities are very much cities with concrete and so forth. But
Yes,
we're
yes.
lucky to have a lot of parks. Even in our cities here, we have a lot of nature all around us. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, within, the United States, we do have parks, but
Yeah.
basically with things growing or whatever, the
Yeah.
grass seems to get eaten up with more concrete and more buildings.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah. Well, how long have you actually been involved in actually, healing yourself and healing others?
Yes. So how you were asking me how I've been involved in that?
How long? Yes.
Yeah. Oh, how long?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's a really great question. Now my wheels have started to turn because I was like, so I I think I had sort of like a pivotal moment back somewhere around 2008. I want to say I call it my bathroom floor moment when I was a successful key account manager. I was working in corporate, had a very well paying job and great colleagues. I had everything that the world tells you that you're supposed to have, company car. I was traveling. I had a nice apartment. I had everything, right? But on the inside, when I came home at night, I was just empty. I couldn't feel my heart, and I was just crying. And often I would, be on my bathroom floor screaming at God, like to take me out of this life, because I was just, I was, it was just despair. And you're not supposed to, quote unquote, you're not supposed to feel that way when you have everything, right? That the world tells you you need to have.
Mhm.
And so one moment I had this very, very clear moment where I realized that there was a part of me that was observing the me that was on the floor crying. And that observing part of me was completely at peace, completely non judgmental. Like there was nothing, it was just, I suppose today I would define it as love, but it was just pure peace. Um, and in that moment, I realized that that part of myself that felt as though it was outside of myself was something that I wanted to bring into myself. And so I want to say that I've actively since then, that's something that I've been uh, on that path, I would say, since around 2008. So that at the time of this recording would be about 15 years. somewhere around 15 years. It started, I can see when you start to trace things back, it started sooner. But yeah, actively, consciously about 15 years. And then of course the first couple of years, it was personal, quote unquote, personal, in the sense that I wasn't working with people. I wasn't doing that. And then in 2000, somewhere around 2010, 11-ish, I trained as a coach. And a couple of years later, I started working as a spiritual business coach, which is what I also do today. So I love growth, whether it is, of a person or a business or a product. That really lights me up. That's where my gifts lie. And then in 2018, so for that period of time, A Course in Miracles was instrumental in my shift, in my perspective from fear to love. That was really, really a huge part of my journey. And then in 2018, I discovered energy work, or I didn't. It's not that because I already knew energy work, but I experienced it in a way where I was like, whoa, like it became very practical, very down to earth, very physical for me. And I knew that I had to incorporate it into my work as well. And so I did my training. And so for the past 3 to 4 years, I've been also including it, energetic alignment or energy work. I've been including it in my sessions or in my work with clients as well. So did that answer your question in terms of, I know it was a long answer in terms of how long I've been?
Well, yeah, it's the answer I expected, because most people don't understand this is a journey. And so it's not necessarily an answer that you can give, like it just happened and I've just been like a job you've been working, like, because the thing is like you said, you're still doing it. It's like, the energy, the things that we heal within ourselves, we still continue on our own journey of doing that. And sometimes we started that journey, when we look back on it, we had some awakenings that was going on that may have looked like they were things that was negative things going on in your life, but it was actually some things that was basically been you shedding from the old you and kind of rebirthing yourself into awakening to the person that you're becoming.
Yes. And I want to highlight, because it's so important that you say what you say about a journey, because I don't know if maybe I believe this at some point, but there tends to be this thought that, then you get to a point and then you're done, right? And what I'm realizing is it's just expanding more and more and more. And I don't think I'll ever be done. So in terms of the journey you mentioned, I can see that you have something to say. Let's hear it.
I'm just totally agreeing with you.
Yeah. It's just, I think that for me now, I'm 47 now, and I realize that life is just getting started, right? It's just expanding more and more. And whereas I may have, quote unquote, healed certain areas, there's other areas that are now ready to be unveiled and healed as well within myself as well as without, right? So it just continues. It's an ever evolving journey.
Right.
I think I think in my mind I was like, okay, then you do this and then you're done. But it's not right. It's about, I like to say that it's like, a lot of people say like it's about healing yourself, and then it's like taking off and saying, see ya, suckers. But we don't when we wanna, and again, you doing this beautiful network, it continues. We have a desire to spread.
Exactly. And the thing about it is like as far as we the energy healing I'm doing with Rike, like we know that things dealing with energy, you have to keep managing your energy and keeping things in alignment and making sure that you're protecting yourself from various energies. And so this is a daily process that you constantly dealing with. And so you don't reach a point where it's like, okay, I'm done. Like it's not like that at all. You just learn the tools to use to navigate yourself daily.
Yes, and I do. That's actually one of the things that surprises me, is that I actually often hear from. So the thing is, I don't consider myself to be a healer. I am a vessel. I am a channel for the healing that happens, right? I know people do put that quote unquote phrase on me, but I don't, I don't mind other people having, if that's a title, no worry, like that's fine. If you, I just, for me, it's about what comes through me. It's not, I am not the healing, the one doing the healing.
Not at all. Not at all.
And so that's that for me. And yeah, But one of the things that I often surprise me is how people, even in my industry or in our industry, do not have daily practices of maintenance or have daily check-ins. That's like something that I do. I prepare, like even now, like I do it before every session that I go into with a client. Even now, before we came into here, I checked that my energy was in full flown alignment to make sure that what was coming through would be in the highest interest for all, not just for myself. And so I have my daily morning practices that I do, and throughout the day there's things that I can check. And so it's really interesting how, and I'm not trying to scold anyone. I'm calling people to rise. Like if you're someone who works with energy, make sure that you have daily practices in place.
You have to.
Yeah.
Well, you have to. I mean, just like you said, I get up in the first thing in the morning. I do my prayer nama. I'm meditating. I get in the mudras. I got a whole thing of things that I go through to check my energy, manage myself, to make sure that I'm aligned. And then at the end of the day, I check back in again.
Yes. Yeah. Me too. And it shifts. I want to say that it also shifts because sometimes we can get really stuck on something, but for me over the years, I don't know how it's been for you, but sometimes like I'm called to certain things and then I'll take stuff out and I'll add other things and so it's not like it's not rigid.
Right. Exactly. Because I have singing bowls, and I can get into that a little bit, then I can kind of move it away into little affirmations, because with theta, you can kind of use that to kind of program brains and making sure the things working. And see, I'm big on like emotional energy.
Yes. Okay.
And so generally with that is like, I'm trying to always get people to understand managing your emotional energy, because most of the time people don't understand that, your high vibration, low vibration energies, and that's kind of what when we kind of shared that email or whatever, when you kind of got into manifestations a little bit, even things you manifesting into your life, you cannot tune into these things when you have this low vibration energy. It doesn't allow you to tune into that frequency to actually have these things come in. So you have to be kind of mindful of the things that you have going on within your energetic system to make sure that that you're able to manifest these things.
Yes, and there's one for me. It's funny because one of the things for me, like I don't know if it's special, but I have a specific take on the high vibration, not community, but idea. Because the thing is that, yes, everything has a frequency, and we have the emotional scale, and we have lower emotions with lower vibrations, and we have emotions with high vibrations. But as a human being, we have all of the emotions. And so I think it's really important not to, like when we feel anger or hate or jealousy or fear, it's really important to embrace them as well, because if you're trying to suppress them, eventually it'll just come blowing up in your face, right?
More traumas.
Exactly. And one of the images or analogies I like to use that was given to me by a teacher is that if you look at an EKG, like if you look at a heartbeat, what you see, like if you see a flat line, if you see a person with a flat line, that means that person's dead. So there will always be fluctuations in our emotions. In order for our heart to beat, it has to go through these vibrations, right? And so we have, it's just a matter of I suppose healing them. You can do that energetically or through sound or however you want to work, and also through processing and through really, really feeling them, right? Where do they come from? And part of emotional health, I suppose, is also realizing where does it come from, because so often when we start working with emotions, like 99% of them doesn't come from the specific situation we're in, right? They come from our childhood and from traumas we've had and things we've gone through. So it's like, whoa, realizing that we're not even reacting to the current situation, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that was an interview I did yesterday with someone who she gets into rebirthing. She's a rebirthing facilitator.
Yeah.
And she goes back into things that happened to you when you were a child, and even things, in a situation she shared with the audience about her own experience with her parents, where she had a sibling that was born before her that died, within, in birth, and so she came through next, and she could not understand why she could not have this connection with her parents. She said even when she got grown, her father would be basically during the pandemic, came back home, because of some situations that happened, and she was best to be there, around them at the time. They sitting at dinner, and her father asked her mother, a question about her, why she's sitting right beside her, like she could not see her. And she started getting that, because of her energy at work, and she kind of gets into the shaman deal. She kind of started understanding that, this is some things to kind of deal with the energy of that particular brother that was born before her, and she had to dismiss the brother's energy. And once she was able to dismiss the brother's energy and tell the energy that I'm here now, you have to go, all of a sudden her and her father parents became closer.
Yes. And that's the power of energy work, and that's the power of finding out what's really going on rather than just looking at it from a surface level. Yes, and you mentioned manifestation, and one of the things that I have really one of the most, well, there's a couple of things. One of the most powerful things recently for me has been in terms of what is the quality or the essence that I desire. And not too long ago, I realized that what I had been calling in was security or safety, and I had manifested that in my life. However, it wasn't a very attractive, very magnetic frequency. It wasn't really driving me. There was no passion in it. And so I shifted it to, I realized that what I was going for is satisfaction. And when I say satisfaction, it's not necessarily like physical or external, but more like deep sense of when I meditate or do energy work, it's like everything ceased to exist and there's this bliss, right? I had a near-death experience when I was 11, and I remember this incredible bliss, and sometimes I will go into that bliss as well now, and that's the satisfaction I'm talking about. And ever since I did that, it's incredible how many different things are appearing in my life where it's like, this is satisfying, this is nourishing, this is from just that shift of, this is what I'm calling in. And that has nothing to do with me, wanting to manifest a car or house or anything outside of myself. I know that whatever is mine will come to me when I'm in that vibration. And also loving myself when I'm not, because I'm human. There's times where I will just stop my feet. Go ahead.
Right. Oh, totally agreeing with you.
I just really want to harp on, because in terms of manifestation, it's often been like we have to be in this high vibe all the time, and I'm not high vibe all the time. There's time when I want to stomp my feet like a child throwing tantrums, right? I am not, and so where I'm not. So I just want to give people not permission. It's not my duty to give permission, but just it's okay to be human. Like, we came here for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's major, because we don't want to come off as though like it's all love and light all the time.
No.
That's not, because the word authentic is what we need to kind of use here.
Yes.
That's not necessarily authentic. We have to be authentic to ourselves. And the deal is, kind of what, that I've kind of deal with, because we're trying to clear up blockages and things of that nature. So when you're telling people to not observe things that they have going on, you just clearly telling them to keep adding more blockages to a situation.
Exactly.
And so that's why I talk about management of things, observing them, actually acknowledging these things, because that's generally the root issue of a lot of things anyway. A lot of people are trying to ignore things and just keep suppressing it rather than actually, acknowledging it, because a lot of times that's how we get down to the root issue of what's actually going on.
Yep. And it's, again, like if you have a wound, if you just cover it up, it's just going to get more and more infected. You have to air it out. You have to clean it. You have to, and when we clean it with soap, that's going to hurt. Like that that stings, right? So that hurts. Again, not to be re-traumatizing, but sometimes you have to clean it up in order for it to heal, and that is that can be painful. At least in my experience.
The whole spiritual process is kind of what we kind of tell people sometimes. It's a painful process because you're having to tear down some stuff about yourself to kind of get down to the things that you really want to be. And it's not necessarily a pretty thing, it's
That's the thing. It's messy, right? It's messy. And you talked about rebirth right before, and like birth is messy. And if one of my favorite analogies has to do with the butterfly. I was blown away when I discovered this. A butterfly, before it turns into this beautiful butterfly, it's just like it's the larva, it's the caterpillar, and it's inside this cocoon. But the process of it moving through the cocoon is what ensures that the fluids needed for it to be able to fly will actually be pulled into all of its wings. If you try to quote unquote help the butterfly by cutting open the cocoon, it won't be able to fly. And that to me is like nature. Is just like I get goosebumps still. It's like so for it so as much as when someone is going through a really hard time, I want to support and I want to help. I also recognize that there is a pathway for them, and I have been there. I have been on my knees. I have thought I was unable to continue moving forward and going on, and somehow through that process have been able to rise up and move forward, despite of what I quote unquote thought I was able to do. Right. So that's just and if you look anything. There's pressure in anything, like even in a seed that becomes a flower or an acorn that becomes a tree. Like there's pressure in making that that's involved in order for you to expand and to grow.
It's required.
Yes it is.
Well, we can definitely keep going because that's definitely something we want people to really acknowledge, because with the healing, I don't want people to kind of get an idea that like it's just something that doesn't come with things that you have to address within yourself. But the thing is, just like that butterfly, when you come on the other side, you're beautiful.
Yes. And you're even beautiful going through it, right? Like you may not see your own beauty, but there's beauty in the mess. There's beauty as you go through it. And that's one of the things as well, is like in my work, like I see everyone as whole, healed, and complete. Like there might be a desire to change things, but I don't consider people to be quote unquote broken or wrong. I see for me, what I like to say, it's about lifting the veil so that you're able to see what is already there. Like if you're someone who's feeling disconnected from God or from source or from whatever it is, it's not the connection is always there. However, there might be stuff that's covering your sight or your experience so that you're not able to experience it at the time, which I honor. I'm not saying that your experience is wrong. I'm just saying that it's about lifting those veils that are hindering your sight so that you might experience that connection, that beauty, that whatever it is that you find that you are separate from. And this is one of my, I think, really, really lifelong lessons, because separation is a big theme for me. And when I go into the days where I'm like, it's I have this nobody likes me. I am separate from everyone. Like it's just me, and I have to do this on my own. Blah blah blah. And I now today when I start hearing that, I'm like, ha ha ha! There you are. You're back. Like that's just a signal for me that return to yourself. Return to love. Return to that which is your soul, that which is impermeable and being within you. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, to kind of get into, to move to, we're actually not moving, but as you just mentioned, God, people don't really understand, the things, the teachings of what we're talking about. That, it's not that it's very ancient teachings that, and they've actually heard about them, but they don't necessarily recognize what they've actually been hearing. The name within biblical terms would be Jesus, but we call him Yeshua.
Yes.
And most people don't understand that he was actually a energy healer.
Yes. 100%. Yes.
It wasn't just some things that he was just kind of wooing, and it just kind of came about some things that he himself only could practice, which is basically what he emphasized over and over again, that you are this, the sons of God, also basically telling them, these techniques you can also use yourself. And so trying to get people to understand that you can, first off, we just like you said earlier, we're only vessels for the healing process, because I like the universal life force is just channeled through me to someone else, and I have, that's the universal life force in that person. I'm just a conduit.
Yes.
And that's pretty much what he was saying himself, that we all are conduits of the source.
Yes.
And I think I keep pushing this, because a lot of times people are looking for healing from something when the healing is within themselves.
Yes. Amen.
And this is why it steps on some religious toes, because clearly the religious is looking for something outside of self, and it just doesn't sit right with me, because we have a lot of people that are dealing with mental and physical issues, and they're looking for healing. And be honest with you, they're looking for it, they're spending money, they're doing all kinds of things, when the message has been, from Buddha to anyone that was a teacher, the medicine is within you.
Yep. Amen. No, but I agree. That I agree 100%. I have possibly still a lot of healing to do when it comes to organized religion. I know that there are so many organized religions out there. There are really trying, that are doing their best, and they're moving it in a direction that is way more inclusive and embracing that it has been. At the same time, we cannot deny the thousands of years of quote unquote harm that organized religion has done in the name of God. And that's probably what makes me the angriest. It's like, what you, what, God, really? So that's I am. So like I said, I'm born and raised in Denmark, and we're probably, as far as I know, we're the only country in Europe, or I don't even know if it's the world, that has so we're Protestants, and when you're born in Denmark, you're automatically a Protestant. You're all automatically a member of the church. So we have a state religion in Denmark. Christianity and Protestant is the state religion. And so if you belong to anything else, if you're a Hindu or a Muslim or a Jew, you have to sign yourself out of the church. And so you pay so I know that we're known for paying high taxes, but we also get a lot for those taxes. We have free healthcare, like we have free education, and blah blah blah. So I won't go into that. But the whole idea that and also for me, I have seen some things that are not very loving to me when it comes to religion, and so I mean, like, I have to hold myself back to not go into a full, and the whole idea. Yeah, so I will stop. But yes, so I have issues with religion, and for me, what Yeshua, yes, I use his Aramaic name as well, Yeshua ben Joseph. What he taught is that what you can do, what I can do, you can do, and I personally I take that very literally, and that's when when I realized. When I got practical with energy work, I realized that's what he is. That's what he was, and what he continues to be is an energy healing. That's how he was able to quote unquote raise the dead and heal the leper. That's how he was able to do all these things. And he is a model for what's possible. I mean, again, I don't think that I'll get to that in my lifetime, and possibly not the next couple ones, like because that's far beyond my current possibilities. But that's what he was. That's what they were. And for me, so I've had a podcast called The Magdalene Voices that I used to have, which dove into the stories that we've been told for century and millennia about Yeshua. And about the Magdalens, and also about Magdalene, Mary the Magdalene, and what we have to look at. And the reason why I had this podcast was because I wanted to bring a different perspective to the stories we've been told, and also so it was bringing in different scholars and experts, people, having conversations with them about it. And it became very clear that it wasn't just Yeshua. It's clear that organized religion, take the man, put him on a pedestal, make him the Son of God, the only Son of God, and that way you can cut off our connection, right? You can remove people, take out the whole divine feminine part, and just be there. And it's just like, oh, that's what's created, quote unquote, this mess for the past 2,000 years is what I see. And so, go ahead. Sorry.
Just shaking my head.
So what I want to share in terms of the Magdalens as well is that, what's his name? Not Yeshua ben Yosef. No, I can't remember that right now. But for the Magdalene, so Mary was Mary the Magdalene. The Magdalene is the word has different translations, but what it really means is that a lot of people will say it's because of the place that she was from. But the city of Magdala, which is based in Israel, was not a town at that time. The city is named after her. She's not named after the city. The Magdalene the Magdalene means tower. It means teacher. It means the one who watches over the flock. And so what she was in connection with him was she was as much a teacher as he was.
Yeah.
Like, no, but just make her the whore, make her the singer, and put her out in that, and and then you can suppress women and people, right?
Exactly.
So I have but for me, like, yes, I remember when he first really presented himself to me. I remember this was funny to me because I was like, what? Because I think it was somewhere around 2016, and I was watching a show. I think it was on Netflix. I was watching a show about Yeshua on Netflix, and it was like a 60-part series or something. And when they came to the crucifixion, the episode with the crucifixion, like, I was literally just bawling my eyes out. And I remember sitting there thinking, why are you so sad? Because it's not like the ending is not a surprise, right? Like, we know the ending. And so, but I realized that I had a deep soul level connection to them. And I now see that was like sort of my ignition point for the Magdalens. Mary the Magdalene showed up later for me as well. And if we look at the crucifixion and the whole story, on the Magdalene Voices, I was fortunate enough to have someone on to talk about the ancient Egyptian ritual of rebirth, of Easter, of him descending into the underworld, of her holding space for him. It transcends and so beautiful. And
I love to hear that.
So he was. And so if you're someone who's called to religion or to the word of Yeshua, again, just use discernment. Well, that's one of the things I always tell people, whether it's clients or people I work with in any way capacity. It's like what I share is my truth, but your truth, my truth doesn't have to be your truth. Take what serves you, leave the rest. Have discernment, no matter who the teacher is.
Right.
Have discernment. Does this resonate with you? Does it sit right with you? Does it, does it lift you up rather than tear you down?
Exactly.
So yes, Yeshua he's just also energetically, I don't know but he's also very much of a jokester. He's a funny guy. His energy is just like, it's very lively, and to see people use him and them and God source as for their own purposes and their own means. Not to say that if you're a religion, for me, it's okay to make money. I have no issue with you making money. However, if what you're doing is teaching, hellfire and brimstone and fear, that's one of the things I don't understand. How can you preach fear when you're talking about God? Like, that's, to me, God is source is God's love. I like to say God is love. God is love. Love is energy, and everything is energy. So that's, to me, how the circle is. It's just, we're all God. We're all energy. We're all,
Exactly. Well, I'm definitely passionate about it, because I feel, first off, that he's just been lied about. First of all, these people. I come from, because here in this country, with my background, it's kind of more complicated, because my ancestors were brought to this country, and Christianity was put on them, and it was put on them,
and not by free will.
Right.
Not free will. It wasn't.
And you had some illiterate people at the time who could not speak the language, who were being told things within the Bible that were not there. And there was to instill fear and control of, down to the point of, because the Bible does contain slavery, God being, God was right, they own slaves. And the thing is, I've done on my podcast, the God of the Bible, where we have all this stuff that's added from man that's not of God, that's been added throughout time. And these are actually men, not God, I've gotten the things about the 25 million, murders within the Bible, and all kinds of things that kind of show you that this was not the creator itself. This was man itself that was instituting these things, and basically telling, using these things throughout time for power and control of people. And within the Black community, it kind of,
that's one of the things, like to if you want to control a people and you want to enslave people, then you take their religion away from you, right? Also, if you look at the hair, right? You like you have so many diverse different hair styles and things, then shave their heads, right? Take away their hair, because that way you remove. I mean, I get, in terms of what happened in the U.S. and the people that they enslaved, it's just, and it's still goes on today, unfortunately.
Because now everything when we talk about energies, but then some of the things I had to hear within myself is the stuff that was passed on, the survival and things, because that was passed on ancestrally from my people. This survival things, and this basically not rooted, you're insecure, you have all kinds of issues going on, because the issue was to have your ancestors basically think nothing of themselves. You think really less of themselves, actually. So you live in with a mental illness, pretty much. You have mental illness being passed on from generation to generation. And also,
and they just, I can't remember, there was a study I think came out in the spring, I can't remember where it's from, where they have actually determined that trauma is cellular and will be passed on through the DNA to ancestors. So imagine the people, like the ancestors of people who were enslaved, and let's be honest, enslavement was probably part of the least worst things that were done to them, right? There was horrifying, and so those things still genetically and DNA wise are in. So if and oftentimes we don't know. Again, we're going back to we when we look at from an energy healing perspective or from an energetic perspective, you might not know why you're reacting like this. It might be that what you're responding to is actually something that is cellular or ancestral or genetic from generations past of people, having been part of Tulsa or
It's not that far back. My mother pretty much lived in slavery. My mother was my grand. Well, first off, my grandfather was murdered. For racial reasons, and and so I never got to know. Well, actually, two of them never got to know them. And then my mother pretty much, lived in what you call a sharecropping situation, where you pretty much call sharecropping, but the person keeps you in debt, so you're pretty much working for free. And and so these are things that was with even with my mother. I had to go within myself and understand some things I had to hear within myself. So people talk about it years ago, like, no, it comes down until somebody heals it. Even within the diet, they fed, pig scrap, for instance, to the slaves, body parts. And now, there are people here in the 21st century that are still eating this food, knowing that it destroys them, knowing what it does to their body. But just like you said, epigenetically, it's shown, that it just passes on through the body, and consciously they can know this is what it's doing to me. But this is what they were raised with, and this is within their bodies. And like, I can tell you about the things I didn't necessarily consume a lot of this stuff, but as far as my reaction to things, a lot of times, because you kind of your people lived in fear. Your people had things going on, anxieties going on, and then you kind of get it, and you don't understand why you react in certain ways to things. And so it took me to start going inside myself and started understanding these deals. Sound frequencies, which 528 gets into the DNA level to start dealing with the solar plexus, start dealing with some of this stuff that kind of passed down, because that particular solar plex area deals with your willpower, your drive, your self-confidence. You're thinking anything of yourself, and all of these things, I had to kind of take myself through and look back and see how I would react to certain things, and I couldn't explain it, but how I would react to certain things, because how my father, he dealt with a lot of things, and I kind of found myself doing the same thing, and but he dealt with it with alcohol, and so I never dealt with the substance things, but it just kind of the reaction to other things, that kind of plays out.
It makes sense that someone would use substances, right? Because if like I understand how is, again, also if we look at indigenous people. So in Denmark, we colonized Greenland, and they, quote unquote, self-medicated with a lot of alcohol as well. But of course, if you take people's spirituality, if you take their, like, if you try to have them suppress their emotions, if you like, I at least, and also I am sorry, because it's what has happened to indigenous people and Black people across the globe is just it's just not okay, and still ongoing, right? The systems are still in place, and that's a whole nother thing about the U.S. where I'm like, ooh, y'all have gone off the deep end. Like, are you
right? Yes, definitely.
But I love how you I love that you share that you went within yourself and in terms of the triggers, because that then you mentioned, I can't remember if you mentioned the heart before or after we started recording, but you mentioned how the heart is has a very powerful frequency, and how when you heal, that vibration is shared. Tell me more, because I really want people to hear that, because I know that you have something to share about that in terms of the heart and the vibration of the heart. In terms of I wonder if you have, if the connection in terms of the healing that you've done.
Well, first off, you have to be in a love frequency within yourself, to help others, because that's like you said, we have to have our own energies aligned. But we, I kind of want to get in this with you too, because I know we're talking about auras, and
Yeah.
and generally, they had this guy David Hawkins, some years ago, who came up with the consciousness field that showed how your heart emits the largest electromagnetic field. And so when you have these high vibration energies, you not only improve your well-being, but it emits to the environment.
Yes.
But also, in the flip side of it all, and kind of the negative deals, kind of like you see in low-income neighborhoods and things, when people have these anxieties and things, we in the U.S., we call it hood mentality, because it literally comes with the mentality. And, I've been in these places, I kind of lived in these when I was younger. And, it's literally a mentality to where we could come in and talk about love and they cannot hear you.
No.
I don't want to hear that. What are you talking about? I'm about to pop off, because they're literally not tuned in with this frequency that we are emitting. And so when I'm healing myself, like I noticed with myself, I have daughters, and I was kind of always questioning religion things, because there was just things that didn't line up with me, even though my family is deeply religious. And I've kind of stepped on some toes too, because I talk about the role they're serving now within the people. But it can kind of get really in depth.
And they can't hear it, like those people, because, which I get. So one of the things that I've discovered over the years, like the plus 15 years that I've done in inner work, as well as now adding energy work to it, is I am surprised by the heightened sensitivity, how much deeper I can love, and how much angrier I can get, because there is that flow of, I'm no longer holding it back in that sense. And how also, so a part of my daily prayer I say every morning is, soften my heart so that I might feel our divine union. But also in the softening of our hearts, we also become more, quote unquote, sensitive. And I don't mean sensitive in a negative way. I just mean that we're able to pick up more things. And I can understand that if you're in that situation that you described, the low-income neighborhoods thing, I can understand why you wouldn't want your heart to be too soft, and wouldn't want to be, because it'd be really, really difficult to live, right? So there is a shell. So I completely understand. And again, going back to slavery and all that, this is systemic racism 101, right? This is like like the Black people did not have the same opportunities as white people in the U.S. in terms of income, in terms of investment, in terms of banking, in terms of So, but you mentioned the aura, and yes, so one of the things, so how do I say this? So, because sometimes in our community there is we can go into, quote unquote, spiritual bypassing by saying that everything is energy, right? So if we have a dis-ease or something that is physical in nature, we can know that it stems from something energetically, but we can also recognize that it is physical. And so me personally, I am holistic in my approach. So if someone comes to me, I don't usually work with people who have dis-ease or physical symptoms, because that's not like my focus is usually business. That's just where my gift lies. But we can, but I still, if someone comes to me, and I had a client, someone that I knew really, really well, they had a stomach issue, and they had seen, they'd gone to an osteopath, they'd had not surgery, they had x-rays, they had scans, they had doctors, they had seen a bunch of people, and nobody had been able to tell them what was going on. And because I knew them so well, this was something that I was able to, with the energy of the work that I do, we were able to determine what was going on. We were able to release it. And within 90 minutes, it was gone. And this was after a year of them having like gone to see. But I will always and forever recommend that if someone has something physical that's going on, always, always, always see your doctor and have the energetic
Exactly.
have the mental component as well.
Exactly.
But in terms of the auric field, so this is where we have an insight, and this is also because you've mentioned quantum physics as well, I think. And so if we look at if we look at the auric field, we have 7 layers, and the densest layer is the physical one. And that's, the matter, that's what we see. But if we look at it, which is, I love this, it's just so beautiful. If you look at like the table you're sat at, or the phone that you're holding in your hand, if you're listening to this on a phone, or when you go down to if you zoom in, there really is nothing but energy. Like everything is energy. It's like there's space between it, and it just, everything seems to dissolve. Right. But if you have something that is happening for you, you mentioned the emotion. So that will be happening in the emotional layer. So we have the physical layer, then we have the etheric layer. Sometimes people will be able to see the etheric layer because it'll be like a glow. It'll be like a glow outside of the body.
Right.
Then we have is it the emotional or the mental? I can't remember. I can never remember the
emotional, mental, and the spiritual.
Yeah, we have the emotional, and then the mental. Then we have the Akashic layer.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we have the celestial, and then the divine layers. So we have layers, and whenever something is, and our auric field, this is where it gets very, I don't know if this is spiritual, but it transcends space and time. So our aura is what is always and forever recording what's happening in our environment. It's always scanning for threats. It's always scanning for the things that we want to focus on. We talked about manifestation before. If you're someone who wants to focus on a specific thing, that's like you can shift your perspective to start calling that thing in or something like it. But something that is becomes physical in the body when we talk about dis-ease has moved through the layers. It has moved through the layer. It's maybe if you have something that's chronic, it might have been something that you've been thinking about for a very long time. And I just want to emphasize, I'm not telling you that this is your fault. Like there's no one, like if someone tells you that, oh, you brought this upon yourself and it's your fault, like run like hell, because that's like there's reasons why we have different things. But
exactly.
But if we, so personally, I had an experience where back in 2015, end of 2014, beginning of 15, I had an issue with my lower back. And in September, I think it was August, September of 2015, it turned into full slip disc, where I had sciatica, full slip. I couldn't move, I couldn't sit down, and I couldn't do my morning practices. I couldn't meditate, I couldn't do my yoga, I couldn't move, I couldn't do my exercise, I couldn't sit, I couldn't lie, everything was just painful. And that's when I had to surrender to quote unquote Western medicine, because I was on my high horse before that. I was like, oh, I do not do even like Advil. I was
no medicine.
No drugs, right?
Yeah.
But I was at the point where I was like, just give me all the drugs. Like, give me all
It got intense.
It was like after weeks and weeks of this, I was just like, give it to me. Right. And what was really interesting was, so I surrendered, right? I surrendered into this, and then, long story short, on December 29th, 2015, I was standing and I was transferring some money from one account from a sale of an apartment into another account. And as I was doing that, I heard a click in my lower back, and I've had done body work done. So I'm used to my body clicking into place and adjusting itself. Yeah. But I heard this click, and I didn't think anything of it other than, oh, click. And then I woke the next morning, and I was really confused, because I was like, what? Like, and I looked at the clock, and it was 7:30, and I was like, this is strange. Because up until that point, what had happened was I would take pills. I would have it was like a cocktail of 2 to 3 pills that, I had to sign that I wouldn't get pregnant for it. All this it was good drugs. I was taking pills. I was taking a pill. I would usually wake up somewhere around 4:30 in the morning, and then I would feel the pain, and I would have to take pills in order to just sleep a little longer.
Right.
And then somewhere around 1, and then around 9 p.m. as well, I would take the drug. But this morning I woke, and it was 7:30, and I hadn't woken for my 4 a.m. pill, and I was like, that's strange.
Yeah.
And then I realized, hold on, I'm not feeling pain. And I was like, I was confused. So I got up, and it wasn't until I was making coffee, and coffee is like a process or a ritual for me. I grind the beans, I warm there's a whole, all of a sudden I realized my back had clicked the night before. And what I realized was the money that I had transferred was from a sale of an apartment. And I had been so scared somehow that I would have spent all of that money before getting the opportunity to transfer it. That our spines has to do with security and stability, and the lower back has to do with money. And the moment I transferred that money, my body adjusted itself, it healed itself. And I told the doctors, who of course thought I was batshit crazy, but I didn't care. And within a week, I was off the drugs and off the meds, and I haven't had issues since. So that's why I'm saying, do the drugs, see the doctor, get healed. Sometimes you won't know till it's over, till it's gone, till it's sometimes it happens in hindsight, which is what it did for me. Yeah.
That's kind of why I ask questions a lot of times with people, because within Rike, we learned that usually the area of the body usually is trying to tell us something. And when you were telling me that, and basically a blocked root chakra will cause that particular deal.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. And I was searching for the reason. I knew that there was a reason for it. I knew that there was but I didn't know why. And it wasn't until that happened where I was like, oh, but it was also part, because again, for me, I can be sort of stubborn. It's like, I like to call myself a recovering control freak, because I'm still working on it. So surrender is a part of my journey, having surrendering over and over again, and also humility. And humility, not in the sense of being squashed, but for a lesson. I like to say that I don't think that we're being tested by the universe or God. I think that we're being strengthened, because for me, God is love, and we're being strengthened. And I also want to emphasize that if you have a different skin color than mine, if you're black or brown, then it could also be systemic racism. And I have a privilege, because I am white and I was born in Denmark. I have privileges that go. I have had education. So I'm also recognizing that I have privilege. I'm also very aware of that as well. So
that's how I have to make Black people, people look like me, aware of things they need to start doing to take care of themselves, to start healing themselves.
Yes.
Well, I don't. We want to kind of keep this to an hour, because I can only edit. So I'd like you to kind of leave some contact information with our audience, and something to lead them with before we go. We sign out.
Well, you can find me at mariasaraphina.com, and on Instagram I'm at XO Maria Saraphina, even though I'm not really, it's mostly just personal stuff. It's not I'm not very businessy on there, and that's where people can find me. And then I want to say on the YouTube at Maria Saraphina, there is if people want to watch the Immaculate Voices, they can also find the episodes on my website. There's the Immaculate Voices. If you're interested in the Immaculate, there's a lot of episodes there.
Well, that's what we have to get together again, because we want to get more into that, and to go along with the energy auras, because we just have so much to talk about that
I'll come back.
I mean, we have to do it again.
With a
Definitely.
little.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for like, you are just a beautiful being. Thank you so much for having given me this. It has been such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for having blessed my day with this. Thank you.
Oh, a pleasure to have you on, Maria. Definitely, definitely. And to our audience, we thank you all for joining us as well. And until next week, definitely make sure you love yourself and love the world. Until we see you all again, be blessed.